Here's an update on the starting of the torso section of the Knight Titan build. As you can see in front of you, I've just done a bit of dry fitting on the main torso pieces there, so I'll just give you a bit of a tour, as it were. So we have the top carapace here with a canopy that fits on there. If you imagine that the princeps, the pilot of the machine, is sort of underneath here, sort of an access way. If I was feeling ultra adventurous, I would try to have this hinge, but I think that it's going to be a little too tricky to get into the little side pieces there to create a hinge. But that's what its purpose there is, just a little entryway. And the main carapace, the bulk of this is going to be done in the red, the blood red, which I showed on the leg parts. This front section here will be silver, and I think these are supposed to be shield generators or void type generators. I've seen them larger structures on the Warhound Titans. I'm not 100% sure what they are, but they kind of have that incense burner look to them, which is a motif which they use quite a bit in the imagery of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. So that's the main canopy there. So we'll get down into there. This piece here that just came off the front is where the head housing is going to be. So you can see the strut there is going to be where the head sits on a rotating rod. So you should be able to get a little bit of left and right motion out of the head. I haven't cleaned the head parts up yet, but I'll do a separate video on that showing all the different options. So that just sits down there. Then we have the main side struts, and there's quite a bit of detail going on in there, lots of different pipes and vents and grates to be able to get in and paint. The arms are going to be connected onto here, and these just some like rotating struts. These are fixed on solidly, but the arm itself has a socket, kind of like a light bulb I guess, that just sort of screws in there and should be able to make for a little bit of posing. That's where that's going to go. I don't think I'll need to worry about using any magnets or anything on there. Turning around, this is the back engine assembly, and you can see that it's got some heat sinks there and the Mechanicum symbol, various other gubbins, bits and pieces like that. And this all sits on the base plate, which I was showing off in earlier videos. So I'll just take these off. They just slide on there. The separate piece just has cabling, and that's where the head brace is going to attach to there. And it all comes down back to this base plate. It fits around and have a magnet on top of there. So that all test fits together fairly solidly. Some good strong struts in there. Get that all glued in there. Should be good. A few other details for the torso pieces. Have the front chest plate, and that is going to sit over these cabling bits here, and you can see that there's a banner there with some room to put on the name of your Titan, whatever you want to call it. There's some engine exhausts. They come in two pieces. Oops. And they just slot together, and what they will do is they will, you can see these two round bumps there, and they will slot into the round bumps on here, and they'll sit there, and then they poke up through the main housing through the back, so that part's going to be sort of more engine mechanics, probably going to be fairly gunky and gritty looking, whereas the rest of the carapace will be quite clean. Probably put in some like smoke effects sort of to around the brackets here, but that'll be for later on. So one on each side there. We have a cowling piece, and this sort of slots over here, and the head sort of pokes out from underneath that cowling. And there's just some little side struts which go on to the sides here. Just act as like a little bit of a brace, just for the arms when they come out, the cabling and all that sort of thing. Then we have the headpiece. I think I'm going to go with this the skull mask. I kind of like the look of that, but I will do a later video which shows off all the other options, but I'm quite liking the look of that one at the moment. So there we go, that's most of the parts cleaned up. Dry fitting, incredibly important to be able to see if you're going to need to have any gaps filled, how everything's going to fit together, what sort of force you're going to need to keep it all together. When you're assembling something like this, rubber bands can come in quite handy, but when I start gluing I'll go over that process. It may or may not be needed. But again, just tidying things up while I'm waiting for the magnets to come through, and then I will be able to show a more detailed view of how I plan to get that all set up. But yeah, it's pretty clean. It's again, the detail is fantastic, and I'm looking forward to getting the paint on there as well. But yeah, getting there, and still enjoying the build. Stay tuned. Alright, time for another update. As promised, I'm going to be focusing on the head assembly and showing you the parts that go along with that. So, as I showed you before, we have this this cowling that will poke out of this part of the body here, and the head is going to sit in this little slot here. And here we have the headpiece assembled. It's got the tubing. This piece sticking up might look a little bit odd, but this is actually kind of like the neck. It's going to be underslung. So it's going to sit in here, and it's going to, this little round piece is going to be glued on here, but not fully encompassing that rod, so that you get side to side sort of waggly movement there, and then the cowling slots in there, that little hole. So the whole thing is going to look like that. Now, this basic head, what can we say about it really? It really reminds me of this. Oh my god, that's crap. Crap. Sorry. It was an allergic reaction to bayformers. So yes, we have this kind of bare bones head with these googly eyes. Now there is a purpose for that, thank goodness. Because on top of this, we're going to have a faceplate. Hooray! And we can choose from one of 3 different faceplates actually. We have this faceplate here, which I want to say is known as a frog helmet. I think that's what they call it, just the shape there. And that will just like sit over the top there. And if you have the eyes really bright colour, you might be able to see the colouring go through. So there's that option. That's kind of neat. Have this option here, which makes me think of like a Roman or Greek helm, and that's also kind of cool, sort of playing into these sort of armoured knight motifs But as I said in the last video, I'm kind of digging this armoured skull. It's very ties in with the Mechanicum sort of. Kind of dig it. It's intimidating, I think. But as always, there's options to just like tack this down rather than glue it finally, so you could always swap it out. But yeah, that basic head, it really does scare me a little bit. Does it make you think of Chappie as well? I'm not entirely sure. I haven't seen that film, but it gives me that kind of robot feel, like the Bleeple bee that I showed before. So anyway, if I was feeling especially brave, and I'm not sure that I'm feeling especially brave on this particular project, but you could, if you really, really wanted, use a fine drill down into the eyes. And I suspect there would be a way that you could drill through into the back and have wires going through and actually have it set up like right through the back and into the main cavity under that plate. I think you could probably make a fairly good go of putting LEDs in there. And that would be pretty spectacular, I think, if you had the faceplate there with actual like light up eyes. I have done LED work in one of my rhinos. I put it in the back hatch, put an LED through there with a connected battery pack to the front. So I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibility if you're into your electronics. Could be something I might look at. It's just for a first build, I don't want to go too crazy on it, but I think it would be feasible if you really, really wanted to. Something to think about anyway. I might start looking at the sizes and see how that would compare. But there we go. That's just a brief look at the head assembly, and again, lots of detail on there. It's going to be pretty nice to paint up. And oh my goodness, get that face covered up. Hide your shame. Alright guys, thanks. We'll catch you later. Hey guys, Stephen here with another update. So unfortunately, no more magnets this week, so it's just going to be a little bit of a miscellaneous tidy up and just a little chat, I guess, about a few different aspects of the build while I'm waiting for those things to come in. So the main pieces for the torso are cleaned up. They're ready to go. I've just got them in a bag off to the side so that they don't get lost or mixed up with other parts while I'm doing some cleanup. I've put together the engine pieces, just filled them up with a bit of green stuff, and going to sand that off when it's fully dried, and they will probably be put together, glued after they've been painted, because putting them into the assembly, a lot of it will be covered, only this part sticking up through the housing. So those are just off to the side. So the main parts of the torso are set up. There's a few little side pieces that I'm just working on at the moment, and sort of miscellaneous weapons and things. So over here, this shield piece, this is an ion shield, and yep, it looks pretty much like a shield. In the fluff, it's a form of energy generator. So this is going to clip on to a bolt there, and that is going to sit underneath the main carapace, and that's going to be able to swivel back and forth. And it's a form of an directed energy shield. It's interesting that with the main Titans that you see about, like the smallest one traditionally being the Warhound Titan until the Night Titan came out. They were protected by void shields, which are an ablative energy shield that sits around the Titan. Think sort of Star Trek shields, I guess, except this is an ablative form of protection. And initially in Mechanicum, the Night Titans were protected by these void shields, which gives an all-round protection. When the models were being released and the rules were coming out for the Night Titans in 40,000, they decided to go with these ion shields, which are only protecting a quarter. I guess you choose a quarter that you want to protect. The ion shield will give you added protection from that facing. So instead of the void shields, you've got this ion shield. And now that I'm reading through some more of the Horus Heresy, instead of the void shields, now they're being written in as having these ion shields. So the fluff is kind of mirroring the rules, which is mirroring the fluff. Sort of a back and forth kind of thing. The cynical part of me is thinking, yeah, this is kind of push the new models and, you know, have the rules reflected in the fluff. Because on the tabletop, if you had void shields on a Night Titan, I think it would be a little bit overpowered. Whereas, you know, something larger like a Warhound Titan, it would make more sense. But that's, you know, that's just a little mini aside, my thoughts on that. So on one side we have the ion shield. On the other side of the carapace you're going to have a heavy stubber, which in colloquial terms would be a heavy caliber machine gun. I've got to be honest with you, I think stubber sounds really stupid. I'm really sorry, Imperial Guard players out there, but I don't really dig the name. It sort of seems a little comical to me. Just think about, you know, stubbing your toe. Yeah, I don't know. Just doesn't really do it a heck of a lot for me. Again, apologies, but that's, you know, that's just me. So this is going to go on the other side as kind of like a low-powered point defense system, and that's going to be on a swiveling joint as well, and you can set that up, you know, whatever tickles your fancy. And I believe that there's another stubber that's going to go onto this is the main gun housing, sort of a front shield, and there's going to be another stubber that's going to fit in there, but I'll move on to the weapons a little bit later. So at the moment I'm tidying those pieces up. They'll be put together but glued so that they still have movement. And then the next part that I'm cleaning up is the Reaper chainsword. The basic chainsword is a man-portable. Well, the description's in the name. It's a chainsaw, but it's wielded like a sword. So it has a long chain blade used for rending and tearing. This is built up to a Titan scale, or a Night Titan scale. So this is going to be the left arm weapon for the Titan, and it's pretty powerful in close combat, especially against other vehicles. So you can imagine the Night Titan striding forward, firing off its weapon, and then getting stuck in with its close combat Reaper chainsword. The other weapon on the other side is a little more complicated. You can make a choice of two, but I'll do that as a specific build. And this is just a little update just to show what I'm doing while I'm waiting for the magnets to arrive. So taking my time, waiting patiently, and just really hoping that they arrive soon, because I want to get some more work done on the torso, get that together, and start getting that part painted up. But there we have it, just a small update. Stay tuned.